10 days.
Yeah. Okay. If you guys are ready.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay.
Sure.
We're all set. Here we go. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco.
Yes, sir.
And Russell Jackman. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. And, of course, today's trivia theme is the Super Bowl, since we just finished last week the Super Bowl.
Yeah. What did it finish me off?
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to get into in the next segment. We're going to hear from Vern specifically what it was like being there. How long were you there?
I was there 10 days.
10 days.
I was there 10 days. Yep. Round the clock.
Hey, want to make a quick mention here. You know what? I know this is local, but Mountain Mike's Pizza. Good pizza,
Good pizza, man.
In San Rafael
last week, and in Novato.
That's right. Yeah, we like the boys here local in San Rafael, but all the Mountain Mike's Pizza, excellent pizza. Check them out.
Of course, our New York listeners are going, pizza? You want pizza?
Yeah.
You come out here to the 5 boroughs.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
to any corner.
Yeah, but by the time it got back to California, either the delivery charge
No.
or it'd be cold.
You get the slice of pie, is what they call it. You
Slice of
fold
pie.
it, and then you eat it right there.
Oh, okay.
It's like-
And don't forget Chicago style.
Deep dish.
Yeah,
that's-
deep dish.
Well, you'll get a New Yorker to get in a fist fight over that.
That's
Okay.
right.
All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding over 7.5%. Actually, last month was 7.75%. Where can you get 7.75% interest with no losses and no volatility? Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. I've got some notes that are other than the Super Bowl, but we definitely, when we come back, we are going to start off with the Super Bowl. I want to hear the inside scoop from Vern as he was right there in the trenches with all the players and coaches and everybody.
Right in the mix.
Dave, do you ever...
Surrounded by Chiefs Kingdom confetti all over the field after the game.
And did you interview the wives too?
So miserable.
That was for our general assignment reporter. But I just had the jocks.
Gotcha. Okay, well that's a good place to be. All right.
Although there was star appeal throughout the week.
Oh, I'm sure there
Yeah.
was. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Yeah, I got to think that
True story. Starstruck. I'm covering the. I'm on the red carpet covering the NFL awards.
Edward, yours is a little up. I think you want to.
Yeah, I think they were all a little bit up.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead. Starstruck's got.
I was covering the Saturday night. Saturday night is the Oscars of the NFL. It's called the NFL awards.
Yeah.
Where MVPs handed out and Coach of the Year is handed out and the Hall of Fame class is announced and they bring him in. But so I'm on the carpet interviewing people as they come by. And there were actors and there were other athletes, professional athletes, and Jim Brown shows up, and my jaw dropped. I've got to talk to this man.
Sure.
And he walks very slowly. He was with his wife Monique, and I went up to him because he showed up like at the end. At the end, they try to rush him in because they got to get the show started. It's pre-taped, by the way, and it's so.
Did you call him Jefferson?
No, didn't call him Jefferson. I just said greatest football player ever, greatest lacrosse player ever. When I said lacrosse,
Yeah.
Probably is,
tell
though.
story.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how I got his.
Anyway, we got I got a selfie with him. It's one of my most prized pictures ever.
Wow.
That is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I like that. Good old Jim. So, yeah, let's see. He's got to be 80.
I would think at least.
Yeah. But he still looks good too.
Yeah, he looks great.
Tell him to get his uniform back on. The Browns
Yeah,
need him.
no, oh, yeah, wonderful picture.
Yeah, let's.
That is a great
right.
picture.
That's his wife in between.
Hold on, we're going to show this on the YouTube here.
Jim Brown, baby.
Hold on, Jim. Come on, Jim Brown, with our own Vern Glenn.
That's right.
Nice.
Boy, he looks great.
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
He looks terrific. Yep.
How old is his wife?
I don't know.
Late 40s or something?
I don't know.
That's a bit.
But,
I bet everybody just kind of like,
I'm telling you, as he walked through,
Yeah.
other current running backs in the league. I mean, from LaDainian Tomlinson all the way. I mean,
Yeah.
Hall of Fame parted the sea. They're like, oh,
Of
God,
course.
You know what?
Yeah.
I really appreciate that because a lot of times as people get older, they're like, who are you? What did you do? I mean, obviously
Right.
that's not someone like him, but it's really kind of nice for to respect the older generation.
Mhm.
Just in general.
If they're worthy of it, absolutely. Absolutely.
I bet nobody
He's
called
eight-
him boomer.
My dad's age. He's 83.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
No, he does look really good for.
That's
you know.
awesome. Okay, we is ready. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Okay, we got to start off. Vern,
Yes.
tell us all about the Super Bowl and what it was like.
What do
being
you
out
want to
there.
know first? Just the grind?
I'll
I'll tell you the grind.
The day the day that you landed.
We touched. Well, geez. Yeah.
I'll take about 2 weeks to tell it. Go ahead.
We touched down about 5 o'clock Miami time. We're on the air at 7 o'clock Miami time, which would be 4 o'clock here. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
which by the way, for the audience, Vern is coming from the West Coast, so that's at least a 5.5 hour
oh
flight.
yeah, and it's just hit the ground running, get the gear, go down to the beach, set up the live shot, hurry.
Do you at least get to fly first class?
No.
Yeah.
Coach?
Wow.
No, complete coach. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
there were no frills
Not
in this one. No,
glamorous,
not at
no.
all. And then from that point on, our first live shot last Saturday night on just the grind begins. Now, this is my 5th Super Bowl, so I knew what was coming. So, but it's just living in this ongoing cloud of fatigue for 10 days, but you're going so hard all the time. You don't realize how tired you really are. You just keep on going, and then just that and the nervous energy from being on the air is what what gets you going. You average about 4 hours of sleep a day.
Wow. And how did this Super Bowl compare to other ones from the standpoint of what you had to do and fatigue and all that?
I was very surprised in this being the 11th time that Miami has hosted a Super Bowl, which is a record. They just passed a tie that they had with New Orleans. I was very surprised at the disorganization of handling us, the media, throughout the week. It's as if.
Well, you told us about your lost car situation.
Well, there's just there's so many different factions, groups, responsibilities that make up the entire Super Bowl committee. So everybody knew what their individual job was.
Okay.
But if you walked up to them and went, "Hey man, where's the autograph booth where Joe and Jerry Rice are going to be? Because we need to." No idea. It's like where's this garage? No idea. Where's that? Anything out of their area of what their responsibilities were, they had no idea.
Why was it? Why do you think it was?
My personal opinion is I think for years there was a board running Super Bowl week. Here's the playbook. Here's how we do it, and then for whatever reason, that administration is gone. And so you got new blood in there running it with all these cooks in the kitchen, and by the time it hit, nobody really knew what was going on.
I'm surprised there wasn't any kind of an online resource for you guys or way to.
There is an app, okay, but and an app can tell you all these things, but an app's not going to tell you what door of the Miami Convention Center you have to go through. And where you have to go in there to get into the media line to pick up your credential. You're just asking where's this? Where nobody.
You got to think that a lot of people in your position were complaining.
We all did.
Yeah.
The signage was terrible. The security checkpoint that you had to go through that first day was terrible. We had to go through the same checkpoint that everybody else went through. So this is funnel of a crowd trying to get into the Super Bowl experience, which was held at the convention center. Normally there was a separate entrance for us because we're in a hurry. We're on deadline. We got to. I understand. You have to scan our gear and all that kind of stuff. But
how many people were at that convention center?
Media.
Yeah, well, like you said, everyone had to go.
Well, I
through
mean,
that
well, there were
long-
thousands. There were
Because-
thousands in the bottom floor is what was called they called it the Super Bowl experience. When
Right,
Super Bowl 50
right.
was here in the Bay
Right,
Area, they
yeah.
called it the NFL experience, and it was all through Moscone Center.
Right,
Remember that?
Yeah,
of course.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
right.
so it was like, so take the Moscone Center, and that's the Miami Convention Center, and then add a second floor, and that was for us. That's where Radio Row was. That's where the media workroom was. That's where certain interview areas were. If you wanted, if you could sit down with a particular player or legend. It's also where the Fox talent availability was. It also was where the ESP. It was just there were all kinds of conference rooms that were on the second floor for us to access. But there were certain times where these things were taking place, and maybe across town there was another event that you wanted to cover at the same time. So you had to divide and conquer. And Miami's like San Jose and San Francisco combined. The traffic is horrible.
Yeah,
The,
yeah,
the regular traffic on these expressways were faster than the express lane.
Well, and I heard
It was just it was
I
terrible.
heard that there were stories that people were actually just walking on the freeway itself to get to the Super Bowl.
Oh, I'm sure at the end, as we're trying to rush to get
Well,
in.
that does not going to look good for Miami.
But
if
I'm
we're
just
going
talking-
for
but
future Super Bowls.
I'm just talking about the day-to-day rigors of what we had to go through, because Miami Beach is not close to downtown
No.
Miami.
And
The
you were in
49ers
Fort
were
Lauderdale,
staying
right?
the 49ers were staying in Miami City. The Chiefs were staying at another hotel across town. It's just not. We're here. We are on 4th Street and D or whatever. It's not like walking out the door and going next door.
Gotcha. Yeah.
No, it was thought through so well here in the Bay Area when they had Super Bowl 50.
Yeah.
But boy, those for most of the time it was a clown
Which
show.
is kind of interesting because that was like, the first time in many, many years
Yeah,
that the first time at Levi Stadium.
Right.
But other than that, it was when the Niners beat the Dolphins back in '84, I think it was.
Right, at
So they had it
Stanford.
set at Stanford, yeah. So, I mean, it was very impressive what they did. Like you said, it was so much better here in the Bay Area. I mean, I got to think that in the future, there's going to be so much like resistance of having it back in Miami.
No, well,
Well,
next
there's a number
year,
of other places.
next year the Super Bowl's
Yeah.
in Tampa.
Right.
I mean, it's just I mean, it usually is a great, well thought out, well planned week. But for us, if you don't live in Miami and know the streets and know like where, but you just, if you don't know, you might as well just put a blindfold on.
And Uber, I mean, I gotta think they got
Uber was going. I think Uber and Lyft really profited
from
from this because again, nothing was close to anything, and so you had to have an Uber just because those guys know the surface streets to take to get you where you need to be. Oh, and we were staying in Fort Lauderdale.
That's what I was going to say.
We were staying. We had our management.
That's a distance away. I know
It is.
Florida
It is. It's like we might as well have been in San Jose as compared to like San Francisco.
Well,
that's where we were staying.
An hour and a quarter
yeah,
away.
that's about.
But our management got such a good deal on an Airbnb that slept 6, and 5 of us went. We had plenty of room for accommodations, but we weren't at that house very long. We weren't at that. I mean, you were there long enough to shower, get a few hours of sleep, and then you turn around and.
I mean, how much money did they save by doing the Airbnb?
Well, you save a lot because all the hotels in the area, they jack up the rates. We're talking about $350 a night.
Easily.
So you $350 a night times 5 for 10 days. That adds up. Yeah. So that's kind of
that's man.
That's kind of how it was. And as far as the grind, imagine doing this show starting at 5 a.m. Okay, and then you do this show for 2 hours. Okay, then you get like maybe an hour break. Then you got to come back and do another 2 hours of that show. Yeah. Again, then you get then you
gave us a good idea.
Then you get a couple hours. Then you get a couple hours break. But the point is, you're doing this show from 5 a.m. to say like 8, and then you got to come back 3 hours later and do the show again. because you're broadcasting to the West Coast audience.
Gotcha. Oh man. Okay.
And that was our day every single day.
Wow. Okay. It's a good for you young folks there. All right. We're gonna cut to our first trivia question.
Every time, typical TV anchor. Oh, wait, man, you're having a good time
Yeah,
down
yeah,
there.
exactly, yeah.
We're thinking in our head, good time? What's that?
All right. Here. First trivia question. Which speedster was the first to rush for over 200 yards in the Super Bowl? That's our trivia question. All right.
Okay, former track star turned football player, and he rushed for over 200 yards.
Well, I just said what speedster. I mean,
Speedster.
basically,
I think I know.
what running back basically is our trivia question.
What running back first surpassed the 200-yard mark
in
the Super Bowl?
Yep. Stay with us, Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. No, it's so funny because it's sort of like, oh, wouldn't you like to go to the Super Bowl to watch it? Well, yeah, just for the fact of doing it, but I like to just kind of sit back and relax, pause it, go to the bathroom. I
was not relaxed.
Yeah, you had all this. You had all this build up because it really is an event. Even opening night of the Super Bowl
it's
was
football. Congratulations!
It was a 2-hour event, and
football doesn't have the Oscars; it has the Super Bowl.
But once kickoff happens, then it becomes a game.
That's what we got to talk about next.
That's what because while the game's going on, you're in the press. Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We should have won.
I didn't I tell you KC was going to win? I thought it was going to be 37-31. Should have bet on the game.
I went on the air. I said 27-26 Niners, but I don't feel good about making that call.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean,
I just don't understand how Garoppolo. I mean, so many things broke down in that fourth.
Well, also Shanahan.
I will make several points on this.
Yeah.
This is not all on Garoppolo.
No, Shanahan.
No, it's not. I mean, 3rd and 15, the Garoppolo wasn't on the field on 3rd and 15.
And they're doing well running. What are they, trying? I mean, I like a passing game, but if you're doing well running, you got to grind that down.
You're right.
Okay, here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Which running back was the first to rush for over 200 yards in the Super Bowl? Anyone?
My first guess was maybe Timmy Smith of the Redskins.
Very good. Over the Broncos.
1987.
Very good.
And the story behind that, Jack, is he was a backup running back. Somebody was hurt. And at the 11th no, he was more of a fullback, but at the 11th hour, all right, Timmy, you're the guy, like an emergency, like running, and he ended up having a great game.
Yeah, it's funny because as I remember, the Broncos they just came out like on fire, scored the first touchdown. Elway was doing really well. And he thought, okay, hey, the Broncos are finally going to win their first Super Bowl, and then it just went downhill from there. Doug Williams just tore them apart.
Went sideways.
Okay, so. We're Vern Glenn or major one of our
post Super Bowl 54 guest in the room.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, last week you were calling us very nicely from Miami while you're in the midst of all that business.
Was that when I checked in with you? Yeah. Man, was so much going on. Wow.
Hey, Edward, we're gonna have to cut this off because I got to interview Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
Shannon's over here waiting. I got players over in the next room, and I
like in the elevator.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you elevating this show to the extreme.
Well,
I'll take you when we can get you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk. What more do you want to talk about? First
I think Jim Brown.
Yeah, you met Jim Brown. Tell us about that.
Jim. Okay, so the Oscars of the NFL is the night before the game. It's called the NFL Honors Awards Night, and it's treated just like the Oscars or the Grammys. There's a red carpet. We weren't wearing tuxedos, but the wives and the girlfriends, sequins dress, updos, and they're on the arm of invited guests to sit into the audience for NFL awards Now they tape the show. They tape the show at 4:30 Eastern and then it's turned around and it's aired in prime time.
Yeah, because these guys,
It's-
everybody's got to get some sleep.
Well, it's a whole scheduling thing.
Yeah.
So I'm working the red carpet, and I'm just speaking for 49er related. Mariucci comes by,
Oh, yeah.
gives us a few words, and then Larry Zonka comes
Ah,
over. It's just
awesome.
like greats of the greats comes
Yeah.
on over, and then and then Jim Brown comes over, and for our older demographic, Jim Brown, arguably the best football player ever, certainly the best to actually carry the football.
Yeah.
And he comes down, and I'm like, my God, it's Jim Brown.
Yeah.
So I go up to him, and he's slowly walking with his wife Monique, and I just look at him and I go, Mr. Brown, because they have to get him in,
Yeah.
because they do a big thing where they honor the great legends in the crowd and all this kind of stuff. Steve Harvey was the MC of the event, so I just said, Mr. Brown, boy, greatest football player ever, greatest lacrosse player ever. When I said lacrosse, his eyes lit up. Oh, you know the game? Yeah. And I said, Mr. Brown, could you do me the honor of taking a picture with me? And so I did, and then
And you had your credentials with you. I mean,
you have.
So you can see
That's another thing.
Yeah.
When you get there, you get week-long credentials.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the week, they're no good.
Oh,
You have to go and get another set of credentials for the game itself, and you have to wear a certain vest. They give you a certain vest just to get into the stadium to be able to get on-field access. That was crazy over the top security.
Yeah.
But I digress. But the red carpet night, it was cool. It was cool. I got to say, and who are you wearing, to Richard Sherman's mother as she was walking down. It was that was pretty cool. But guys who won, like Pat Mahomes won in honor, and
Sure.
and for the 49ers, Nick Bosa, who's from Fort Lauderdale, he won defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
They couldn't be there. It was with the team, so somebody would have to take the award on his behalf and all this kind of stuff. But that was pretty cool.
So let's talk about
the game.
Okay.
Let's talk about the game. And so the big question is, did the Chiefs win it, or did the 49ers blow it? That is the big question.
I mean, a little bit of both, but I think it really is more unfortunately, no offense to the Chiefs, but I think it really is the 49ers blowing it. And I can't really blame the refs in this one. I really can't. Let somebody, even though I'm a 49er fan, I'm looking at this and going,
you're not a 49er fan that much.
Well, hey, listen, I was a big Gene Washington fan, so I'm a 49er fan. Just because I'm a fan doesn't mean I'm not going to say what I think is the truth of who I think is going to win the game, right? I'm rooting for the 49ers.
All right, so here's the difference between me and my esteemed colleague, Mr. Jackman. Mr. Jackman, he is Mr. 49ers. He wears it on his sleeve. It's on his chest. He cut his veins. It bleeds gold and red. But for me, I didn't grow up with the 49ers. I'm a journalist. I got to call it as I see it.
Yeah.
And no matter who wins, I got to ask questions. It's just a matter of whether the questions are hard or whether there's the usual, hey, you're a champion, how do you feel type question. So I gotta ride that fence.
But when you're because you live here in the San Francisco Bay Area, when you're doing your show and you know that most people are going to be 49er fans, I mean, you can't be and the Chiefs won. Yeah, but
I don't mean it like that. I mean, the shows have to be slanted toward whatever the local team does, being a local guy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no cheering in the press box for me.
No.
I mean, there's no, I quit jock sniffing 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So I see these guys who really are. They're elite athletes who were able to play a game. They played since they were as young as 5 years old, and they play it at a high level.
And it's your job to do your job.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
Totally get it.
That said, here's my list of who to blame in this game. First of all, Kyle Shanahan, and maybe the inexperience of this. I thought he would have figured it out the first time when he was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, but he didn't. But he didn't learn.
And another first quarter where nothing happened.
End of the first half, he had 3 timeouts and a $1.49 on the clock with the ball.
Yeah.
and decided to call 2 running plays and then a pass play. At that point, I thought, man, he doesn't trust his quarterback
Yeah.
because they could have driven to get into field goal range, which they almost did,
Yeah.
except for the offensive pass interference
Now,
call.
what's your thought on
Kettle.
that? Was that a really a fair call?
Could have gone either way. I've seen it called both ways. He did extend his arm.
Yeah.
He did push
He
like
did.
that to create
Yeah.
space. I mean,
But a lot of the times they would say that was mutual contact.
we had,
No.
I asked George Kittle right after the game about that, and he said, "Hey, that's how the referee saw it. I got to live with it."
I actually, again, I'm a big George Kittle fan, but when I look at that play and in replay, I do have to think that had he not pushed off, that the defense might have tipped the ball or probably not intercepted it, but he probably wouldn't have caught the ball.
That's just, that's just
speculation.
that's just playing the hands game all the way down throughout the route. It happens all the
caught
time.
it, I think they should have let him have it. The fact that he was able to catch that ball under such circumstances.
But instead of it being 13-10, it ended up being a tie game going into the half.
Well,
but I thought
calling the timeout. They let 30 seconds go off the clock.
he let the Chiefs run all the clock all the way down on the punt.
So let me ask you,
not use the timeout. He went into the.
He's not. It's Shanahan is not a one-man show. Don't the other coaches kind of say, "Hey, coach,"
And Shanahan told them not to. It's clear that when you saw the look on his face, he had told all the guys, "No, I don't want to call it."
He gave us a very Bill Belichick explanation after the game,
okay.
which means he said a lot without really saying anything.
Right,
without really diving into it.
He didn't want to give the ball back to Kansas City.
But that was a mistake, and I thought maybe he had trust issues with his quarterback then. Second half, okay, they're up 20-10. All right.
Yep.
It's 3rd and 15, just over 7 minutes to play. The Chiefs ball in their own territory, I believe the 38-yard line.
Yeah.
Mahomes did what Mahomes does.
Yep.
He came within a second of being sacked by DeForest Buckner.
Yep.
Instead, he spots Tyreek Hill streaking, he made a move.
Yeah.
He made a move, got up and threw, and from the press box, we're looking. That ball was in the air forever.
Yeah.
It's a very
Where
similar.
was Sherman?
Well, it's a very
No,
similar.
that wasn't Sherman's side. That's
No,
not
it was
Sherman's side. Sherman's on the other side. Here's who to blame on this one. When Hill made that route, he put a move on Emmanuel Mosley, who was playing safety. Mosley turned his hips and went the opposite direction.
Gotcha.
That's why Tyreek Hill was so open.
Yeah,
that was a 44-yard gain, and it set up a touchdown to make it 20-17.
Okay, hey, well, let's stay with your thought. We're going to cut to
right.
another commercial break here. We got these hard breaks, unfortunately. I'll have to talk to the station about that. Okay, who was the first quarterback to throw for 400 yards in a Super Bowl? We're talking all Super Bowl questions today. All right,
First quarterback to throw for over 400 yards
in a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Interesting, huh? All right, that's our trivia question, and I'm sticking with it. Who was the first quarterback to throw for 400? I don't know if he threw for 401, 410, whatever, but he threw for
400-yard game.
At least 400 yards
right.
in a Super Bowl. All right. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. The answer to that question when we come back. We're still going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, but I also want to bring up a little bit about the NBA. And it's just between those two. We're going to cover the whole show. All right. Stay with us. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be right back.
Had to be a team that was behind where they had to throw a lot.
Yeah, and there's obviously the whole situation with just not getting Mostert involved. I mean, they
the Chiefs, just like they did with the Titans, they filled those gaps
with Henry. Yeah,
when they had to.
They were able to do with it. And it's another instance of the 49ers not being able to handle a mobile quarterback.
Well, that's the thing.
He's not a running quarterback, but he's mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and to be able to do the rollouts and the pitches and that goal line move where he could have optioned out, but instead kept it and ran. That's so hard to stop on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there had been no other team in the NFL that was better at stopping the
than the 49ers. Yeah.
Than the 49ers.
That's what made it so big.
I can't blame Shanahan for part of the not trusting the quarterback because I don't trust him either.
Well, and he didn't show. He got a 2.8 rating in the fourth quarter.
But Edward,
Yeah.
regardless of how you feel on the inside,
Yeah.
you're a head coach. You're the boss. You have to stand by your quarterback. It is the most important position on the team. And if the head coach loses confidence in his go-to, his right hand, then what kind of message is it
No,
to the rest of the team?
That individual, you're
you
absolutely
have
right.
to stand behind it.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, and you just got to call some plays you know he can do, and it's kind of a little tricky there. But
Well, the night, we really go inside football. I mean, the night before, Shanahan and Garoppolo, they go over the entire game plan. I mean, they spend hours together Saturday night. It's not like you just show up at the ballpark and go,
do it on the fly.
Okay. Oh, play number 5.
What do we call now?
How about this? During the 10 days that you were there, did you see anything that made you maybe think that the Niners weren't as prepared as they could have been? Was there any?
No, because all the work is done the week before they leave for Miami. That's when they put the game plan in, and that's when they drill. The rest of it, and the rest of it is just repetitive practice in what you're doing. In fact, those practices Super Bowl week, once you're in Miami, are closed. We can't even get there. All you have is the media availability, the players they give you at certain times, and even at that, you only have a half hour with them per session.
Right.
But I did have a gut feel in myself. I did for a while buy into the fact that outside of maybe tight end, where are the 49ers better pound for pound than the Chiefs?
Their defense.
Well, running back, I would have said, with Mostert, the way he looked, prior to that. And I thought defensively the Niners were better. I mean, they completely shut down Dee Ford. I mean, that's kind of been a very, under talked about element of this game.
Dee Ford, the former Chief. I mean, they know how to pin him.
That was rough because you would think on the other side he knows how to play them too.
Oh, I'm sure he gave a wealth of information.
But things
Eric
Armstead was also a non-factor.
Yeah. It's like changing.
And Bosa only had 3 tackles. He had a sack, but he only had 3 tackles.
Yeah.
Most of our tackles were in the secondary, and that was a big problem.
Yeah.
That's an indication of a big problem.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101 one more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Second trivia question on the Super Bowl. Who was the first quarterback to throw for 400 yards in the Super Bowl?
I was going to say Jim Kelly, but
that's a very good guess. I was going to go Jim Kelly in one of the or Elway.
No, Kurt Warner.
Warner, the greatest show on turf.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
In the year
For the
2000,
Rams.
So the
it's
Rams
hard to believe it would be
Titans.
that all in the 2000s before someone threw 400
One-time grocery store bag boy, then arena football player, and then an NFL Hall of Famer.
And I had to have that question because it was a Rams question.
Oh no! See,
every year, every month, every week, I'm gonna have one Rams question just for Russell.
You're not gonna make me study up on the Rams. I
was just teasing. But anyway, quick little note. See if you know this trivia question. He was a backup quarterback for because the reason in the preseason. This quarterback got hurt, and that's why Kurt Warner came in.
That's right. Jeez.
Now God, that's 20
Kind of
years
stupid.
ago.
That's okay. I'll give it to you. Trent Green.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he got injured a lot.
Yeah.
Trent Green. So it's.
But back to this game.
Yeah.
Hard segue. Okay. In the last segment, we talked about Shanahan, and we talked about how Emmanuel Mosley was out of position. That's why Tyreek Hill got that wide open. That led to the touchdown to close it to 3. Then the 49ers get the ball back. Again, tried to run the football, couldn't do it. Third down, it's a 3 and out. So the Niners give up the ball, and they put it back in Mahomes' hands. A second down situation, and this is when we get to Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman was on 14, Chiefs. Not Hill.
No, not Tyreek.
Watkins. He's on Watkins.
Yeah.
Watkins, but and this was bumped single coverage. Watkins puts a move on Sherman, gets open, 38-yard pickup, which set up the go-ahead touchdown by Mahomes. So Sherman got beat on a play, and that was on his side. I mean, normally you don't throw to him, but Watkins put a move on him, got open, and that was a huge play.
That was.
I just think with the other play you're mentioning, where guy moves his hips, he turns to the you think he's going to go to the inside, he goes out. I mean, you got a 50-50 chance.
That happens all the time. Yeah. I mean, you try to read but these are two outstanding receivers. Tyreek Hill's arguably the fastest man in the league.
Yeah.
And what I was saying at the break is that the 49ers have shown another propensity for an inability to stop a mobile quarterback, not necessarily a rushing quarterback, but one that can roll in the pocket and slip out of tackle.
And in practice, they when it's scout offense against number one defense, and they have a guy in there wearing a jersey that's supposed to be Mahomes, but you can try and replicate all you can in practice, but not there's no substitute for the real thing.
No. And I predict in the year 2050, the Chiefs will win again because they happen to, or 2070, I mean, because they happen to.
Oh, every 50 years.
Every 50 years, they happen to win the.
They're good enough to win again next year. They're
oh, by the way, the Vegas odds are out.
Yeah.
Per Bleacher Report, 6-1 odds for
6-1.
6-1 odds. The 49ers are 8-1 odds. The Ravens are 7-1 odds. The Patriots are 14-1 odds, and the Saints are 11-1 odds. Those are the top five.
And the Redskins are 350-1 odds. If you really
I could see Baltimore kind of getting back strong.
They have a lot to prove.
They do, but Houston, what about? Because there's some darn good quarterbacks.
I just read the top 5 odds on the list. Okay. That's what I
gotta say that football is getting again back to being exciting again because you have these quarterbacks who could do more than just throw and pass.
Except for Garoppolo, who didn't do either.
No, I know, but I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Mahomes and Jackson. Good stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of Jackson, how about Jackson being the NFL MVP?
Yeah.
We all thought he would be, but it doesn't really matter what you do in the regular season. It means a lot more whether you get the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah. And Lamar Jackson, back to back. Thanks for playing in the playoffs.
And I had a little note here. So Mahomes, just 24 years old, and in his
youngest, I believe, the youngest to be NFL MVP and win the Super Bowl.
Yep. And he's been named the league's MVP. Okay. Led the franchise to its the first Super Bowl. Blah blah. Exciting. He can easily become the highest paid football player in history, commanding 40 to 45 million. Who knows how many millions per season? And he's earned it. Will he take it, or would he consider the path that Tom Brady often, took in New England, sacrificing the mega deal for the very good deal, so resources could be spread among a supporting cast?
I could see him doing that because his agent, friend of the program, Lee Steinberg.
Ah.
All right.
I saw him, but Lee was working it. He was working Radio Row. I mean, he was on. I mean, I probably saw him sitting at least 20 different tables.
What is
as
Lee?
A guest?
Lee's probably in the 70s now.
I don't think he's that old. Is he that old?
Maybe late 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe late 60s. Yeah. No, but he's been a guest on the show for a couple of times. We'll have to have him. Actually, when the dust settles, let him catch his breath.
I said, Lee, God, you are working it, man. He goes, hey, man, I'm here for my clients.
Yeah.
I get that's.
And he probably picks up a few.
Oh, sure.
And now he's got Tua.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. Good for Lee.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the NBA. I'm sure we'll come back to the Super Bowl for a minute. But
let me here's a great segue to the NBA. I thought it was, by the way, Lee's number 70 years old.
All right. There you go.
How old?
70.
70.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool that both teams lined up on the 24-yard line before the game in honor of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
And they had a nice little picture of Kobe Bryant on the jumbo screen inside the stadium.
It's kind of neat because even though it's football versus basketball, it's just the athlete issue.
Well, it just so happens that he passed away as we got to Miami, and it just cast a shadow on that whole Super Bowl
first week,
warm feeling in Miami, at least for a good 72 hours.
Yeah, you can So, in fact, mentioning this, in an effort to make the All-Star game more competitive, the NBA is making drastic changes to this year's game that will include an ode to Kobe. They announced Thursday each quarter will consist of a mini game played for charity before an untimed final quarter that will determine the winner.
Okay.
I have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, it sounds like
Yeah, I gotta see it unfold before I.
Why don't they
pass
play
judgment.
horse in the All-Star game? Why don't they have an All-Star?
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, especially
Trick
for like
shots.
the
There's there's guys that know trick shots.
I'll bet on Meadowlark Lemon every time.
Yeah.
But and it's funny because
Curry would be amazing.
Yeah.
And you can't get hurt doing horse.
That's true. I used to like to watch the NBA All-Star game, but I don't know. I guess
it's been terrible.
It's been terrible.
I actually was. It's the biggest sporting event that I've been to. I know it's a joke considering all the other ones that you've been to. Other than WrestleMania 2 was the 2000 All-Star game, NBA All-Star game.
Vince Carter?
Yeah, that was the one here in Oakland.
Okay.
They had over at...
That was the game where I found out, then working for NBC, KRON locally here, that was the game with Chris Cohan, who made his money with cable TV, walked over to me and Gary Radish and said, "Hey man, I just got out of this meeting and you guys are going to get screwed."
Oh no!
Yeah, it was right after that NBC pulled their affiliation away from KRON.
Oh wow!
And that was the beginning of the end.
Oh no! I did not know that. Wow!
Yeah, because here in the Bay Area, it used to be on Channel 4, and then moved to Channel 3.
Yeah. Well, the network NBC went down to San Jose, bought an independent station, and made that the NBC owned and operated station here, and the rest is history.
Wow! No.
How much longer did you stay with KRON before going to cable?
Well, that was 2000, so I hung out with KRON another almost 12 years.
Wow!
And then I went over to CBS.
Wow. Did they recruit you, or did you decide to?
I was recruited. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's nice to be wanted.
In the business world, we call that pirating you away.
Yeah. Happens all the time.
Yeah. I had a kind of a cousin of mine, cousin type person. He was working for a big CPA firm, and one of his accounts was one of those mergers and acquisition type companies, and they pirated him away, and it was the best move that ever happened to him. I mean, he just made gazillions.
Can I just give a quick little story about how I got the All-Star tickets?
Sure.
A friend of mine was we said, let's play hooky. Let's go and miss work and go to the All-Star the
basketball game.
No, not the game itself, but to the fan experience thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And because he was supposed to be doing some like wedding planning with his wife at the time. It was like something.
He wanted to get out of it.
Yeah. And so we went, and right on our way out, there was like a little kiosk that said, "Fill this out to be in this shooting contest." And I said, "All right, I'm going to fill it out. What the hell?" And he filled it out too, and he won.
Like a free throw contest?
Like he shot from like the free throw line, then
kind of a skills
challenge.
challenge.
Yeah, skills challenge.
Wow.
And since he made more 3-pointers than the other guy did, he won tickets to the All-Star game.
Oh.
Then he had to explain to his wife like how he won tickets to the All-Star game. So that was a little bit tricky, but they're still together after.
Okay, that's good.
Nice.
Sort of like the guy who ended up taking it was some soccer game or something, and it was on the kiss cam or something. And this guy, and as soon as he sees himself on there, he quickly stops like this, and it turns out he was not with his wife.
Oh,
that's not a good thing.
Ooh. Want to get away moment.
Yeah,
exactly. Have a Snickers.
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow.
So the NBA will soon release its adjusted 2020-21 salary cap and luxury tax projections, which signal a drop in those projected figures due to decreased revenue for the league. The original cap projection, 116 million, could drop down to about 113 million. Yeah, that's a big deal. The likely culprit of the decrease in revenue is the NBA's kerfuffle. I've never heard that word before. Okay, with China. China pulled television coverage and sponsorships after Houston Rockets GM Daryl Morey tweeted in support of Hong Kong independence.
That cost the NBA millions.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that he's still, I don't want to say employed, but I mean that was something, because at the time China and the United States had a strong basketball bond.
Yeah.
So many camps, so many clinics, so many sponsored trips for Curry and Yao Ming at the time, and Klay Thompson would go over there, and now it's completely fractured.
But on the other hand, supporting the dictatorship in China is nothing to be proud of. I mean, we've got the whole coronavirus thing that's going on now, thanks to their mismanagement of their own affairs.
Yeah, flying into SFO late the day after the Super Bowl. All these masks all over the airport that people are wearing. Yeah.
And it's the other thing too, is that there's eventually going to be a bubble on all these sports salaries. That you were just talking about that Mahomes could get $40 million a year, or $45 million a year. But there just is a certain level at which, when I was in college, I actually was saying at some point in time, I bet you will see $1 billion player. Just one person get $1 billion.
Hey, listen, when the market was at 2000,
I can remember in 1965, everybody lost their mind. What? They gave Joe Namath $400,000. Well, this is going to kill us.
All right, last trivia question. Which defensive lineman set a Super Bowl record for sacking the opponent's quarterback 3 times in one game? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. So, it's funny what they the thing about Babe Ruth. Hey, you made 4 times what the president made. He goes, I had a better year.
Yeah. Good line.
It's so funny. Then, you know the one about Jack Johnson, the boxer, right? And he's driving. I mean, whether it's true or not, it's a good story.
He's whistled for speeding.
Yeah.
They pull him over, and whatever state he was in, you could pay the cop. So he pays the cop and goes,
it's like $50.
Here's another $50.
Yeah.
Because I'll be coming back the same way.
I'll pay you ahead of time.
Yeah. By the way, the Rock, sensational on Super Bowl opening night.
Oh yeah. He had his space there too.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that part. I was busy doing something. What?
He just introducing the players.
Yeah.
It was
It just was, especially because Fox now has that contract with the WWE for SmackDown on Friday nights. They've been incorporating a lot of wrestlers in the NFL type thing. And then you have the XFL, which is going to be just a car wreck on fire that's thrown into a dumpster that's then set on fire all by itself.
Didn't The Rock play for University of Miami?
Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle.
Yeah, because I remember watching, I would check Ballers out once in a while, and they have I go, I bet he played for them.
Oh yeah, and there are a lot of ex-football players. Not as many now, but there used to be. There were a lot of ex-football players that decided to wrestle. Just as because it was something to do, and some of them are big fans. I mean, there's like Kevin Green. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Panthers.
Yeah,
I went in the Rams.
Steve Mongo McMichael. He wrestled for a long time. He was on the Bears.
McMichael.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wasn't there a guy in the 60s?
Wahoo McDaniel.
No, him too, but Ernie Ladd for the Chiefs.
Ernie Ladd was awesome.
His big thing was the thumb. He had to move with the thumb. If he hit you with the thumb, it was over.
Hit you with the thumb?
Yeah. Underrated for one of the best guys to ever cut a promo. He is one of my favorite promo cutters out there. Ernie Ladd is so damn funny. He used to make fun of Andre the Giant. He used to say, Andre the Giant used to stay up all night trying to study for a blood test.
It was a great way to make money in the off season.
Yeah, and he really loved it. He was really good at it.
I remember Hollywood Henderson said about Terry Bradshaw. He goes, he's so dumb he couldn't spell cat if he spotted him in the C.
Yeah.
The first 2 words.
All right.
Huge man, Terry Bradshaw. I bumped into him a few times. Oh, and my interview with Deion Sanders, fabulous.
Wow.
Okay. We got not enough time on that. Tell YouTube, because we have a little time on YouTube. Tell us about Deion Sanders.
Oh, well, myself and Dennis O'Donnell, my colleague, we got Deion Sanders for a Super Bowl special that we were taping, and he just was He was just cool, man. He was prime time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we asked him about the game. He goes, I don't really care who wins. I just want good football. That's what I just give me good football. I don't want a boring game. Just give me good football on the greatest stage there is, and I'm good with it. He also had some interesting thoughts about um, the Hall of Fame because he thinks everybody's getting in now.
I agree with him.
He thinks that this latest class. He's just
I know.
Roger Craig didn't make it though.
Who?
Roger
Craig.
He's not a Pro Football Hall of Famer. No, he's not.
On numbers,
Mr. Jackman, you were a little bit too 49.
On numbers alone, you can make a good argument for it. But I think in Sanders' mind, just think about it. Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mean, that's Jim Brown.
Yeah.
That's Montana.
That's Deion Sanders.
But Montana owes a lot of what he did with Roger Craig. I mean, Roger Craig was a big part of what made Joe Montana great. He was. No, don't take that back because he was a.
I'm not going to walk it back. I mean, just Montana. He was the Super Bowl MVP. He was NFL MVP. I mean, come on. I mean, it's
the way he can dissect the defense for the throwing.
He had to run. He had to run the offense. I know Roger. I mean, Roger just great. And does he deserve to be in this discussion? Absolutely deserves to be in the discussion. But when you think of the pantheon of the absolute greatest players ever, I mean, from
Gail Sayers,
I don't care, Bronco Nagurski, whatever. I mean, you just go through. I mean, these are Mount Rushmore guys. And then I'm sorry, Harold Carmichael. I'm sorry. I mean,
I loved Harold Carmichael.
I know, but here's my thing. Here's my thing. If you have to think about it more than 2 seconds,
no, you're right.
They're not a Hall of Famer.
No, I don't think.
Just knee jerk.
So
if he didn't play for the 49ers, then what?
What if Roger Craig had played for the New York Giants?
Yeah.
Would you be?
If you want,
be honest.
It was a part of 3 Super Bowl victories.
I know, but
and if he was last time we saw a running back catch over
Mr. Jackman, the
700
Vikings and the Bills went to 4 Super Bowls, didn't win it. I mean,
But Kelly deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Sure, and so does Fran Tarkenton. Sure, yeah. But Chuck Foreman was a part of the Viking offense. Is he in? No, he's not.
Oh, he was. Yeah, but again, see, he's somebody you go, oh, he was great, but was he a Hall of Famer? And the thing is, you got to have a lead. Anybody like a new quarterback got to take all the other ones back. You should only have one player in each one.
In the age of offense in this modern era, you put up the numbers like baseball. You put up the numbers. Yeah. Okay, they qualify to be in. But I'm talking about throw out a name, Hall of Famer. You just know, just knee jerk.
Okay,
yeah, that's
Bill
a Hall
Cowher?
of Famer.
I mean,
no, I think he deserves to be a Hall of Fame. I would have no problem.
How is Bill Cowher in the Hall of Fame and Tom Flores isn't?
I think Tom Flores deserves.
But
I think Jim Plunkett deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Sorry that you guys don't believe it, but I think you get multiple Super Bowl wins.
I'm not debating you on Jim Plunkett. I'm just defending guy. I'm defending guy. I mean, Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, everybody talks about Jimmy Johnson, but most people know Jimmy Johnson because he's a broadcaster on Fox now. I'm talking about the millennials of the world. But Flores won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
Flores
totally deserves it.
Absolutely.
Was he even up for discussion? And they said no.
He's up. Yeah, he's up for discussion every year. There's a committee that campaign on his.
You know how it'll be. It's like the 15th year they'll let him in. Okay, guys,
wait till he dies.
Hold on.
Stabler.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Fern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Last trivia question: which defensive lineman set a Super Bowl record for sacking their opponent's quarterback 3 times in one game?
I'm just going to guess Bob Lilly, Dallas Cowboys.
And I'm going to say Charles Haley.
No, you're both wrong. No. Okay, now we know him from the Packers and from Philadelphia.
Oh, Reggie White.
Oh,
Reggie White. Okay.
The Reverend.
The Minister of Defense.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, we got some fun thoughts for the day here. So my buddy set me up. Now, this is obviously before I was married. My buddy set me up on a blind date and said, heads up, she's expecting a baby. Man, I felt like an idiot sitting in the bar wearing just a diaper.
Oh.
I like that one. And let's see here. Don't let your worries get the best of you. Remember, Moses started out as a basket case.
Oh, nice.
You like that one?
They're all from like the Henny Youngman Skull.
Take my wife, please.
Yeah, that's
I'm here
right.
all week.
That's right. Yeah. And lastly, if you're tired of boiling water every time you make pasta, just boil a few
Also known
gallons.
as pasta.
I
Okay.
know I did say
All right.
pasta, didn't I? Let me try this again. And lastly, if you're tired of boiling water every time you make pasta, boil a few gallons at the beginning of the week and freeze it for later.
Or just use dehydrated water. Just add water to mix.
I'm sorry. Those are punny, aren't they?
They're pretty bad.
They're pretty funny. And the audience,
Yeah,
unfortunately, you're gonna have to go to YouTube and do subscribe because you got to hear what we were talking about off the air.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
There
great.
were a lot of
discussion.
good discussions
Good
about who
discussion.
belongs in the Hall of Fame, who doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. And unfortunately, Mr. Jackman is such a 49er fan. Everybody who plays for the 49ers should be in the Hall of Fame according to him.
Not Garoppolo after this last weekend.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
got a
he's
ways to
got
I
a
go.
will.
ways
Hey,
to go.
I will say this. At one point, he was 18 of 21. I mean, he was
Yeah,
running
but-
the fall. Yeah, he was running the offense. But when time came for him to really shine in just running the offense, just a few first downs away
Yeah, couldn't do
from
it.
winning and saying he
Couldn't
could
do it.
not do it.
All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Hut hut, America.
So long.
That was our best show yet.
And we are off for today.
I thought that was great.